Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to look at the Supra Focus, new bow for 29, new target bow. And I'm going to try and answer some questions that have been asked from my first video I did on the Supra Focus. Now, the first thing I'm going to answer, this is a Supra Focus in the SB, which I think is called Sky Blue. Now, this is the first Sky Blue that came out. And you will see the difference in the colours. Now, these are identical coded colors, so I'm not sure if you can get a light blue or the darker of the two blues, but they're clearly different shades of blue. Now, PSE also does the Focus in a darker blue, so I think this is the new Sky Blue. So it's a little bit darker than the first one that got released, and you'll see in the PSE photo that's a Sky Blue, so that was the first Supra released, and now they've obviously changed it to be slightly darker, but they also do a darker blue. So that's the first question I asked. Now, so I got some questions about the Supra. The first was, you can wind the bow down 10 turns, and how much does that reduce the weight of the bow? So I'm going to answer that one, so we're going to do that. The next one I'm going to question is about the feel of the Supra versus the Shootdown. So the Shootdown and the Supra Focus almost has the same specs. So let's just check out the specs on both these bows. Sorry, I've got Focus in my hand. I was about to grab the other one. So the Focus is 326 feet per second. Draw length 26 to 31.5, which is exactly the same as the Shootdown. The brace height 7 inches, same as the Shootdown. Axle 37 inches, same as the Shootdown. Adjustable let off 65 to 75, same as the Shootdown because it's got the same cams. So what is the real difference? So let's just start here. So they've both got machine limb pockets, both got the same cable guards, both got the same string stops, both now served in the cables in the center. So you've got a different riser. I think the mass weight on both these bows is about the same at about 4.7, although the Supra feels a lot lighter. So let's just grab a set of scales, because to me the Supra Focus feels a heap lighter. And this is in pounds. It's saying right on 4.7, so it feels lighter than 4.7. And this is the Shootdown. All the specs are the same. Now this does have a sight and an arrow rest on it, and I'm pretty sure the spec of this bow. So with the rest and the sight, it's coming in at 5.2. So it's about the same. Now this bow feels physically heavier, although it's the same weight. So how can that be? Let's drop it. Now how can that be? Now the first thing, the brace height from there to there is the same on both bows, 7 inches. The balance on both bows is different. You can see the Shootdown is perfectly balanced in the hand. It has this more advanced riser here, the bridged kind of work, which takes more work. It also has the mini bat wings here that some viewers like and some viewers don't like. So you could argue the Shootdown is a nicer looking bow, and then some people would argue the Supra Focus is a nicer looking bow, being there with no bat wings at all to speak of. Both bows have multiple sight positions. They both have lower stabilizer positions for the lower rears. But the balance on the Supra Focus is very different. You'll see it's very top heavy, so it comes back. Now, I've been reading about other people who have shot this bow, and I've read a post from Dan Jasser, can't get the name wrong, who did a review, and he said it feels much lighter in the bow. It's because it's a reflex riser, so I'm going to brush on that a little bit. Now, behind me is my Perform. So this is the bow I shoot for target archery, which I think looks awesome. It's 40 inches axle. Mass weight is a little bit heavier, okay, on this. Now I have 7 I've got a 32-inch stabilizer on the front with 7 ounces of weight, and on the back to balance this I have 2 rears with 2 lots of 7, so 14 ounces. And you'll see just if I balance it up, this bow is pretty heavy. You can see it's pretty well balanced. Now the weight on this bow, so this is with everything. This is my sight and all. Let's just change that to pounds. Is 9 pounds of weight. Now the Supra Focus, I've got the same stabilizer on with 7 ounces on the front. Now on the back, to make this bow balanced, you can see this is actually forward heavy, but it's actually not bad. So I could put probably 2 more ounces on here to make it the same. Now I've only got one on the back with 2, 4, 6, 7 ounces. Now the weight of this bow, and yes, I've got different sight, but to me these 2 bows, when I shot them, felt very, very similar. So the weight of this bow is 7 pounds. So if I've got it right, I think that was 9 and this is 7, 2 pounds lighter to have the same amount of weight at the front. I want to just talk about that a little bit. So the idea of concept of a big stabilizer is you put weight down the end, and to stop you moving your bow like this, you have a bunch of weight down there. The further away it is from your hand, here, the pivot point, the further away it is and the more weight there is down the end of that big long bar, the harder it is for you to move. So for hunters using little stabilizers, same deal applies. The longer the stabilizer, the more weight you have on that stabilizer, the harder it is for you to move the bow. This works with walking down a tight rope, and you see people walk with tight ropes with these big long sticks. Same deal with the stabilizer. So for me to get the same weight distribution, I'm actually 2 pounds lighter on the Supra than the Perform. So I could stick a whole heap of weight down the front here, and yes, I'd need to add some weight to the back here to get the same weight, but we're talking 2 pounds of weight I can add. So I could probably add, if I've got 7 there and 7 there, I can add 1 pound of weight to the front and 1 pound of weight to the back and have the same weight as the Perform. Now to me that's kind of interesting. Right, so I want to talk a bit about this reflex deflex riser concept that people talk about. So back in the old days, back when I was young, there was basically 2 types of risers. There was a reflex riser and a deflex riser. I'm going to get that wrong. Anyway, one riser had a big brace height, so the distance from there to there, and the limbs were back here, and that was for target archery. It was meant to make the bow forgiving. Then there was a reflex riser, which was for hunting, where they moved the limbs forward and moved the riser back to reduce the distance from here to here, the brace height. So they said that hunting bows were less forgiving, but they were faster. So that was the whole basis of hunting to target. But over time, over 30, 40 years, those lines have been blurred. So when people talk about reflex, deflex risers, to me it's a bit of a whatever. So let's just look at this riser, the Focus, compared to the Shootdown, because these risers both have the same brace height. So you can see the position of the limbs almost the same. Now the limb tips are different. I'm just going to phase over that again. You can see the limb tip on the Focus is more upright than the Shootdown, which is completely parallel. So what I'm going to do, grab a ruler, I'm going to run an arrow down the front of the Shootdown here. You can see the sight gets in the way, but you get the kind of idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to put it on the bench so it's a bit easier for me. And we'll just move the camera around. Okay, so the Shootdown. Now the Shootdown has the same specs as far as brace height and all this stuff, because I've measured it before doing this. So this is from the front of the limbs to the string, being 11 inches. Now that's identical to the Perform, 11 inches. So that's from the front of the bow, front of the limbs, to the string, being 11 inches. Now the brace height's 7, so the distance from the limbs to your pivot point is 4 inches. So 11 inches from there to there, 4 inches from there to the front of the limbs. Now if we look at the focus, now both of these bows, the grip is below center. The center is always the center of the string. So now we do the same with the focus, and you can see straight up, I'm going to put the limbs here. You can see straight up that the grip between the limb point and the grip is very, very close. So let's measure that distance. So the distance from the limbs to the string is 9 inches. So the distance from the front of the limbs to your pivot point is 2 inches. So basically the Shootdown and the Perform, the limbs are a further 2 inches forward on the bow than the focus. Now, I don't know what that means. Honestly, I'm not an engineer. I'm just saying what the bow feels like to shoot. Now, some people will say that scenario is easier to shoot. It's easy to shoot when the limbs are further back than putting them forward. I honestly don't know, so I think the best thing to do is to go and shoot this in the shooting range and see what I think. Now I have shot the focus. Obviously I did the first video, which was the first time I shot the bow, and I really liked the bow, and that was 7 days ago. Since then I've had the focus set up in my shop, and I've said to people, look, if you want to have a shot, which I say with pretty much all my bows in my shop. And surprisingly, it is almost rare that someone wants to shoot a bow. So if I take my Matthews TRX, one of the top line bows from Matthews, I'm going to say, I'm going to get the numbers wrong. There was a guy from WA who came across and shot it, Nathan, and he brought one. I'm pretty sure Mick tried one out and he brought one, so that's 2 TRXs tried. There's going to be a couple of others, but I'm talking over a 2-3 year period, there's been maybe 3 people who have shot that bow. Now with the Hoyt Prevail, how many people shot the Hoyt Prevail, which sat in my shop for 2 years, which I recently sold last week to WA, to a shop. I'm going to say one person shot it in 2 years, one person. Now, in the first week of having the Supra Focus in the shop, 3 people tried it. It's not because I was pushing them down their throat or anything, because I didn't. They tried it. Now, I think there's more people probably interested in the Focus, I'm going to call it the Focus, in the Supra, than the other top-of-the-line bows because of the price point. At $13.50, it's pretty affordable. Now they may have wanted to try it because of the video where I said this is an awesome bow to shoot. So they came in and had a couple of shots. Now I was very relieved when they said that is an awesome bow to shoot, because I'm like, because when I do these reviews, I don't know if I'm being too biased or not biased. I'm just trying to give an honest opinion, and I found the bow awesome to shoot. They came in, they shot, and they said this is an awesome bow to shoot, and I'm like, cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So with that, let's take this bow into the shooting range, and we're going to shoot some arrows with it, and I'll see how I group. Now that's It's going to be a hunting sight. I'm going to have target stabilizers on, no peep, but a basic setup, and we're going to see what sort of scores. When I say scores, see how the arrows group down at distance at 18 meters. And I haven't shot for a week because I've been unpacking a shipping container. But let's go and try the bow out. Okay, so we're in the shooting range, shooting the Focus, Supra Focus at 18 meters. Now I've put 2 arrows down range, which were left and a little bit high. So I did adjust my sights, so I'm not sure where they're going to go, but that doesn't really worry me because I'm more interested in what sort of group I shoot down the other end. Now, let's just shoot a couple of arrows. So for me, the whole weight of this bow, so it's 2 pounds lighter than my Perform, and with my Perform it was better balanced with the stabilizers in the shot. So with this bow you can see it rolls forward slightly. My Perform doesn't, rolls forward slightly but not as much as this, but this feels pretty good in the shot afterwards. You'll see the bow doesn't barely move. So with this weight combination, I'd be pretty happy shooting it as the balance is right now. So I feel like the bow's not moving after the shot. It feels really stable. It feels very, when I say tight, it's very crisp. So to me this bow reminds me of a bow PSE made years ago called the Moneymaker. The riser design to me is very, very similar. But to me, when I shot the Moneymaker was a single cam bow, similar limb profile to this. The Moneymaker didn't feel as crisp as this. This bow feels very tight. It feels fast. So it almost feels like a fast hunting bow when you shoot it, and because of the speed of this thing at 326, it's basically a fast hunting bow, where the Moneymaker was like speeds of, from the top of my head, 290s. That felt like a slow target bow. This feels quick and sharp and responsive. Feels really, really good. So for me, if I was shooting this bow, which I'm considering doing for competition, I would experiment with more weight on the front stabilizer. So most of my competitors are shooting like 16, 17 ounces down the front end. I shoot 7. So I'd be putting like 20 ounces straight smack on that end, balancing up the back. My weight would still be less than the Perform I'm currently shooting. So to me, that's really enticing. Now you're going to say, why is it enticing to shoot, to add more weight to your bow? Because with the Perform, with the weight I have on it, it hurts my body as it is. So I get lower back pains, which is part of the reason I started shooting recurve, because my lower back started hurting. So you do gym work to try and strengthen that up, but I was still getting pains. So basically a lighter bow, a lighter overall bow would have less stress on your body. Now I've shot a heap of target bows in the past. This feels really nice. It feels, the wall is solid. When you get back there, it just feels locked in. Feels really nice. There's no vibration. I mean, you can look at the stabilizer end when you shoot. If a bow's got vibration after the shot, you'll see the stabilizer will be flexing. this stabilizer is not flexing. Why? It doesn't feel like it's flexing. This is not an expensive stabilizer by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I had a customer in on Saturday, and he's got a basic PSE Stinger, which is an awesome bow, and he's a beginner. He's only been shooting 4 weeks, and he was upgrading. The first thing he upgraded was his stabilizers. As far as he got a set of stabilizers, and I said that will improve your score by about 10%. So what's going to improve me here? I've got a basic set of stabilizers, a blade rest. I think will probably give me a couple of points. A scope and a peep sight is going to add a couple more points. But I think my overall shooting will be similar. With this basic setup, a $30 sight, a $20 arrow rest, to my competition bow. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I feel like I'm putting them down there. I'm sorry I don't have the second camera working. But I feel like I'm putting them in the center. I don't know if they're probably all over the place because I can't see anything. But so my thing is, when you're buying a target set up, you don't need to rush in and buy the whole lot at once, because you need to be a certain standard of archer to appreciate all the bits you add on. If that makes any sense. There's no use being a beginner archer having a $3,000 setup and expecting to shoot big scores, because it's not going to happen. In fact, you might shoot worse with an expensive bow than you would with a cheaper bow, because the bow will be too heavy for you, the draw cycle will be too hard, and you'll just basically give up. So never think that you need an expensive bow to get yourself started. I'd prefer for beginners to have a lighter bow, lighter draw weight, lighter physical weight, lighter weights on the stabilizers. I would not be recommending for a beginner to be putting a heap of weights on the end of that stabilizer. I mean, just on that point, so at the last nationals, indoor nationals, Tracy, who works in my shop, she shot she came third in the nationals with a broken leg, by 2 points in the ladies' compound, and she shot the same score as I did, which wasn't a bad score. But she had very little weight on her stabilizers because she's got a broken leg and she's got to stand on it. So she might have had 2 ounces on the end where I'm shooting 7. So you don't need a lot of weight. In fact, the guy who won Vegas, I'm going to get his name wrong, he didn't have much weight on his stabilizer if you have a look at pictures of him shooting. Now, everyone else did. Everyone on that line had massive heavyweight stabilizers on their boat. He didn't. So I think there's an advantage to having a really heavy weight down the end, but you've got to be strong enough to physically be able to handle it. Look, I'm loving this bow. Absolutely loving. And people said, oh, that means you're not going to sell Performs. Actually, no, I don't think that's the case. I think the Perform will appeal to people who want to shoot through a riser. And I think the Supra will appeal to people who want a more affordable target bow that is going to shoot lights out. And that's what the Supra has always been. It's always been an affordable target bow that you could shoot in a world championship. In fact, on Dan Jantz's post, he said he'll be shooting one, I think in like a world championship, a Supra, and I thought that was interesting. So he's going to shoot a $1,300 bow instead of a $2,000 bow at a world championship, and I was like, that's interesting. I don't know what PSE will think, but and just on that point, I don't think PSE probably care. I've seen a lot of the PSE shooters shoot, you know, Supras, Performs. Stefan Hansen used to shoot a Supra, and he used to swap between a Supra and a Perform. So, yeah, I don't think there's a lot in it. I'm just loving this bow. Okay, so now on the bow length. So this bow is 37 inches. My Perform is 40 inches. Now when I did the review on the Perform versus the Perform 3D, and the Perform 3D I think is 37, 38 inches, I preferred the 3D version. I thought it felt nicer to shoot than the longer 40-inch version, but I chose the 40-inch version because it's more target orientated. Now in the recent US Nationals, if you have a look at the the people shooting, a lot of them are shooting the Matthews TRX 38. So I sort of put a post because one of the guys who came like second or something, he was shooting a TRX 40. So 40 inches versus 38. So there's this debate about longer versus shorter. And even in Australia on a Hoyt, they have the 40s and the 37s. PSE has the 40s and 38s. Now, one of my guy I sponsor in WA, Vaughan, he said that Braden Galantine, whether it's right or not, this is what he said on his post. He said Braden Galantine will shoot a shorter bow if it's windy and shoot the longer bow if it's dead still because you have less wind on the riser. Now, that's the first sensible thing probably someone said to me about longer versus shorter. To me, it's always been a thing. Longer's a little bit easier because of the angle on the peep to shoot. I don't think 2 inches makes much of a difference. If it did, they'd make 42-inch bows. I'll shoot one more. I'm just really liking shooting this bow. I haven't been able to shoot it all week because of the shipping container came in. It's been terrible weather. I'm still unpacking the container, the contents of the container. So okay, let's go down and see where those arrows landed. First off, before we go down, this is my shooting range, and you can still see I've still got a fair bit of stuff here from the 40-foot container. Upstairs is now pretty chockers, and I've started taking stuff home just to store it because I've run out. My shipping container, 40-foot shipping container is full. Upstairs is full. I've still got all this stuff here. And I've got another container coming from America, and I've got, I don't know, more stuff coming tomorrow. Anyway, let's go and see where those arrows are. Okay, so I'm up here at the target, and this is all the arrows I shot. So there's one low arrow here. The rest of them, I can't get my fingers around. So that's the test I normally do, but I shot lots of arrows. Now the group to me is it's not outstanding as far as groups are concerned. It's not as good as probably what I've shot with other bows. Looks alright from behind, and there's actually some really nice shots in there. Now some of it was me aiming at the pin basically, but this is the same pin I use with all my tests I do. So for me, like, it's all very well to say, look, I'd shoot better if I had a scope on there and a peep sight, because I would shoot better. But for me, actually I've got a whole bunch there which are really good. So I've probably got couple of outliers. Look, it's not that much better than what I'd normally shoot, and it's probably not the best group I've actually shot. But the bow feels fantastic to shoot. So it's not like you go down here and go, well, I'm going to shoot really, really tight groups. See, they're still out to the left, and obviously move my sight up, so now they're slightly low. But here's what it is. It's all right. So overall, that reflex versus deflex design, I'm going to say, I don't know. Because I think I shoot about the same with the shoot down set up with the same sort of setup, and I've got stabilizers on this bow as well. I think I shoot about the same with versus without the reflex versus deflex. Now, given I've got stabilizers on, I think stabilizers are about 10%. Like, I can't really pick 10% with this group. I'd have to do scores. It's not a big difference, 10%. So I suppose what I'm saying, the difference between the shoot down, the Supra Focus, and the Perform, as far as accuracy, I don't think I'll be able to pick it. Which is why I don't think you'll see a lot of PSE shooters switch from the Performs to the Focus, but you'll probably see some people shoot good scores with the Supra Focus because it's a nice shooting bow. I think you'll see some people shoot the Focus because you can add weight to the stabilizer and still keep your overall weight down. I think you'll see people shoot the Focus because they want a lighter bow and they still want that target accuracy. You'll see people shoot the Focus because of the price point. $1,300, you're going to save $1,000, close to $1,700 on the Perform. You're going to save $500, basically a whole sight between the shoot down and the Focus. Now the question is, what do you think about the look of the bow? Because looks are important. I don't care what anyone says, looks are going to be it. If you like the look of the shoot down over the look of the Focus, that's probably the bow you're going to buy. The bows feel similar to shoot. I do really like this Focus to shoot. And myself, as I do this review, I'm really undecided. I don't know whether I should go for a Perform 3D, a shoot down, a Focus, convert my current Perform to a 3D bow, to an indoor bow, and then set up a 3D for target. I'm really undecided. And that's what it should be like. You should go, well, I don't know. I think this bow, and that's what you want. Because if there's a clear differentiation between bows, it's a very clear choice about which way to go. And to me, there's not a clear choice here. I think the Focus is fantastic. I think the price is good. I think the finish is good. I think it shoots nice. It settles really nice on the target. And I do have a question in my own mind about whether I could shoot better scores with the Focus over the Perform. And for that reason alone, I think I've got to set it up with a full scope setup, peep sight, and actually shoot some arrows down range. Now also, I'm going to say the biggest thing affecting your group is yourself and your ability to shoot. And I sort of say to my videos, I haven't shot this week because of the shipping container. So whether that makes me shoot better or worse, I mean, I shoot better if I'm shooting more regularly. So if I'm shooting every day, my groups are tighter. These arrows felt great to shoot. So, you know, even though I've got a couple of low, like one low one there, that sort of doesn't worry me. So overall, the Supra Focus, pretty good. Now, last part, someone asked how much will the Focus wind down, because the Focus comes in 70, 60, and 50. So we're going to wind this bow down now and see what the minimum poundage is. Okay, so the question put by one of the viewers was, how much does the Supra wind down? It allows you to wind down the bow 10 turns. Now if you wind it down over 10, you will strip out these limb bolts here. So if the bow at 10 limb bolt turns feels too heavy still, then you need to basically return it. Wrong one. We don't want that one, we want the other one. So this is a Supra Focus fully wound up. I'll just measure the poundage. And then we'll wind it down 10 turns. Oh. 62 pounds. I did say my Perform felt really easy compared to the Supra to draw, and then my Perform was on 56 pounds. So this was 62. So that's interesting. So we're going to wind it down 10 turns. Now I use this sort of thing because it gives me more leverage. The Perform will be very easy to wind down. You can see I'm not paying any attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 turns. I've got 3 to go. We'll just check the count. It's 7 turns. Okay, 7 turns. 50 pounds. So I got 3 more to go. One, 2, 3. So that's what the gap looks like just there. One, 2, 3. It's interesting, like PSE put grease obviously in the limb bolt just there, so it's not metal on metal. Before, I'm going to say some of the PSEs, you try to adjust the limb weight, it's like, oh, I need a 40-foot pole to move the limb bolts. This is easy. So now I would, I don't, so I would suggest that you always mark your limb bolt just there with a little bit of texture or paint, like white paint, so you can ensure the limb bolts aren't moving. I don't, because I tend not to worry about too much stuff. Okay. So the bow is adjustable by about 15 pounds, so 45 to 60. So if you can only draw back 40, then you need, if you can only draw back 40, then you can get the 50 pound or go down to 35 and it'll be fine. So it's probably the question is going to be, what does this bow shoot like at 45 pounds? There's still a fair bit of tension on these strings. It's obviously the Shootdown, the old Supra, the Perform has more tension on the strings and cables. So you can see now these are easy for me to move. Now with the modern PSEs where they really crank on those limbs, the bow shoots better when it's wound down, but it doesn't wind down as far, if that makes sense. So if you do 10 turns on a Shootdown, I don't think it's going to be 15 pounds. I think it'll probably be 10 pounds of adjustment. So let's go and have a couple of shots with this, see if it vibrates, see what it feels like to shoot. This is the Supra, so it's a 60-pound Supra, been wound down to 45. And we're just seeing how it shoots at the lower poundage. It feels so easy to draw. The draw length feels a little bit longer with the shorter poundage. I actually get a little bit more vibration with the shot. So why does the draw length feel longer? Because you've moved those limbs back, so you've actually increased your draw length a little. And we'll just shoot one more. Look, it feels fine to shoot. But if you are winding out your draw length, remember to adjust. If you are winding out the limbs, remember to adjust your draw length. Feels really light to start with. Look, actually it's not bad. Like, there's very little shock there after the shot. The arrow still went in the middle. It's pretty good. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. That's the Supra Focus. That's my second look at the Supra Focus and compare it to the other bows. Thanks for watching.